Hi everybody, I'm just going to talk you through the changes that I've made through to the placement book, the reflective journal and the assessor guides for ECEC diploma course. So I'm going to skip straight to placement 3 because we've pretty much already covered what's on placement 1 and placement 2. The whole book in total for the placement is 300 pages. So again, you are more than welcome to separate it and give it out in the different placements if you like. It's the same setup. I've got the timesheet at the front. I've got the assessments that will be completed during the placement. And one of the things you'll notice that I've changed is I've put the assessment tasks in order so that it's not just named straight off what the cluster is. Everything should follow a logical order in terms of assessment task 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way up to 32, I think it is. But I've still listed what cluster it belongs to. Scrolling down, so you'll see assessment task 11, MC1 project 1, immunisation information. It'll all have an introduction to it, student instructions, what the tasks are. If there are tasks to be completed in the reflective journal, that will be reflected there. And then it'll have the templates that they are to use. So there should be a template for everything. And at the end of each assessment, there'll be a submission saying what needs to be submitted for that. And so if something is in their reflective journal, it's in there as well. At the bottom of each template, there'll also be a spot for the workplace or VFA supervisor to be able to sign that that's been completed. So this can take a little bit of pressure off the missing signatures by a supervisor. We can just step in and be able to fill it out ourselves. They will still have the supervisor reports that need to be done. So this goes all the way through. So the only other thing you'll see is that the assessment record at the back, so placement 3. So it's got every assessment, which then needs to be ticked off whether it was satisfactorily completed. Feedback to the students. The student needs to declare that it was their own work and it needs to be signed. So we get into placement 4. Again, same thing, timesheet at the front, all of the assessments. So I've tried to keep the amount of assessments in placement 3 and placement 4 fairly even. Okay, so now into placement 4, I've kept the managing the organisation assessment task 8 program planning in there, reworded it a bit, kept it to the format that you would have used last year as well. So task A being the planning preparation, task B being the reflective journals that they'll be able to do in the journal, which we'll get to afterwards, and then part C being able to implement it. So I did keep a note there saying to make the most of the productivity with this activity, feel free to implement the experiences for the assessments mentioned above rather than create new activities. So it will still include the behaviour plan, using information, music, movement and dance, fundamental movement skills, exploring natural materials and outdoor environments. So even in terms of some of the assessments in this logbook, I did change the order around a little bit just to keep things a bit more consistent. So all the outdoor activities and the outdoor activity checklist is completed in this same topic so that they can be doing them at the same time. Again, exactly the same kind of format. So assessment task, then it'll have the templates and then the submission down the bottom. And that'll go all the way through. If we go to the last page, again, exactly the same thing. You'll see that there's going to be 33 assessments all up, and then the supervisor reports as well. So these are the only real checklists that are included in here, more aligned with the actual assessments. If I have a look at the assessor documents now, I really didn't like the fact that placement 1 and 2 were so different to the setup for placement 3 and 4. And I couldn't make as much sense of placement 3 and 4, to be honest. So I kind of kept 1 and 2, or changed 1 and 2 to be able to match them. So documents including the assessor checklist book. This has got everything from placement 1 through to placement 4. If you want to separate this though, go for it. I still think that this is a document that's best left with the student or left with the centre, especially when they're there for 3 weeks. I know a lot of you don't seem to have much faith in the centres that the students are at, but I'm sure they've all got an office or something where the student would be able to leave one pretty important document. First thing first, pre-placement checklist, and this must be completed before the student goes on placement 1. I've seen quite a few that haven't been filled out, and this really needs to be included in there. So then I've got the tasks at the start of the book, and then I go through the observation checklist. So I've got what assessment it's matching up to, and then what all the criteria was that was either included or had been changed by you guys at the last review of all of this. So you can be able to tick whether it was seen in placement 1, placement 2, or whether the workplace supervisor has seen it. And that'll go through with everything. Again, critical questions if required. And this can even have things that you've had discussions with the supervisor as well. Satisfactory or not satisfactory, student needs to sign, and then you as the assessor need to sign it. And then we go into the observation of specific tasks as well. So in this, it's going to have setting up an environment for rest, relaxation and sleep, implementing hygiene and toilet practices, feeding babies and infants, managing asthma, allergies and anaphylaxis, facilitating and helping children with changes, settling in new arrivals and changing nappies. Same thing, satisfactory or not satisfactory, signature of the student and of yourself. Then I've got the work placement 1 feedback form by the VFA assessor and the workplace supervisor report. So both of these need to be completed. And then there's one for term 2 as well. Then we get into placement 3 and 4 and the same thing. So I've got the observations at the start, all the tick boxes, and an observation of specific tasks as well that need to be included in there. VFA assessor feedback and supervisor reports for placement 3 and for placement 4. So in total, that's 41 pages. The last of the documents is going to be the journal. So again, very similar to what we've already looked at. I've broken it up into placement 1, so each day there's a spot for the student to be able to add their reflections in, and at the end of each week they're expected to do a self-reflection. And so that'll take the 3 weeks. And then I've got placement 1 reflections. So any of the reflection tasks that align with what's to be done in that placement 1. And these are all to be signed off as they go. Then we have placement 2, following the exact same procedure. Placement 3. And all the way down till we get to placement 4. So this should avoid students just writing it on whatever kind of paper they want. It's all laid out, so it's got the days, it's got what placement it relates to, and then the supervisor needs to sign that at the end of each day. You'll notice that I've also linked in the assessment tasks to these as well, so in the heading of it, so that it matches back. And then a final assessment at the end, or checklist. So placement 3 and 4 reflective journal, that all placements for 3 and 4 daily journal entries have been completed, which should be 24 in total. All placement 3 and 4 weekly reflections, which should be 6 in total, and all placement 3 and 4 reflective tasks. So I've tried to cut out a little bit of how many times as teachers you have to sign everything, but just kept it to all the relevant tasks. Any questions on any of this, please feel free to let me know, give me feedback. I can try to get it done before I finish up, otherwise I will make sure that somebody is able to look after it for you. If you could all just let me know your thoughts ASAP, and then I can get this uploaded onto VetNet for everybody so that you can download the most current version.